This should be good.
Are we live now?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for your patience. Tried to combine two studios into one with, what do we got? 2 cameras going, 3 cameras, something like that. We're going to go big time on this. Anyways, I'm Matt Malonis. It's my good friend, Jeff Styba. And this is actually the first interview we've done. And the reason I wanted this to be number 1 was because this was the very first thing that I reached for when I got hurt. So
The oils.
yeah, we're going to go ahead and just kind of do more of a conversation style, and we will and we'll answer questions back and forth because Jeff's got a lot of really cool things going on in the world of essential oils. But today we really want to just focus on one thing, and that was more like what I did with all the pain I was in, but what people can generally do for pain and essential oils. So I'll quickly tell you how we met. So we've known each other, like maybe 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years. Sure. Just colleagues for a really long time. And then I can remember actually being on vacation with Jesse and the girls and kept seeing what you were doing with essential oils around the world. And I think Jesse had been dabbling for a couple years, but I didn't know anything about essential oils. And that was in, I think, December of 2014. And we actually asked you to come to our office and teach a class for our community and for our patients to understand the benefits of essential oils, which we'll teach everybody in just a second. And again, I was clueless. I remember introducing you, and I sat down with my notebook, and I learned a ton. And I'll never forget, that was a Tuesday night, January 4th of 2015. And I woke up that next Saturday morning, January 10th of 2015, in the worst pain that I've ever been in my life. And I had no idea that I had about 4 months of that ahead. But that day was the very first day that I started using essential oils for myself. And I'm not going to lie, like I popped a few Advil because I didn't know what else to do. But Jessie, thank God, Jessie had learning from you already and then a little on her own. And I believe that we had just received, she'll have to verify this someday, but I believe we had literally just received our kit.
Yeah.
And I remember her reaching out to you, and I remember literally you telling her how to, make a roller bottle for me and what I would take orally. And I'm going to tell you, I know for a fact that I took a fraction of the meds that I needed, and I probably healed in a fraction of the time it should have taken because of those essential oils. And so, I know it was a God thing that we met and knew each other. And that's what we want to spend today talking about. So,
man, my wife had the same thing happen. Like, this was the week after we got married. She threw out and herniated 3 discs in her neck.
Yeah, I remember.
And she was in so much pain. She was in bed for, I think, 3 days, couldn't really move. And she's a little tougher than you.
Of course.
But she didn't, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But she didn't take any, she didn't take any meds at all, not even an Advil or Tylenol, because we don't have any in the house.
Right.
And we used essential oils, and that brought the pain level down enough where she was able to at least be comfortable and help her body with the inflammation so the discs could actually start to heal.
Right.
Which is powerful.
I'd love that. And one of the things I want to start with is that we want to talk about essential oils today for pain in general. But like my heart and a lot of the people watching is definitely for those of us who had gone through herniated discs. And clearly you have a personal story. Obviously it was my story. But what people have to understand is that pain in general is never like one thing. It's never just this simplicity of how that area hurts. And when you're talking about discs, I've been interacting with a lot of people around the world about this, understanding that number one, the disc is not the problem when the pain starts. That damage is done. What you have to worry about, and the reason that it's taking people so long to heal, is because they're not handling inflammation correctly. Now, the disc still is a problem, because it's a trauma, it's an insult, there's tissue damage. But what people, especially with discs and spine, don't realize is you have, number one, the disc itself. Number two, you clearly have to have ligament laxity and damage, right? The ligaments that go from bone to bone and joint to joint. The bones themselves could be damaged, right? Depending on the trauma. You've got nerve problems, you've got tendon issues, and then you've got the spasm of the muscles surrounding the whole thing while it was injured. And I always make this statement to people: if you were playing basketball and you twisted your ankle and it was like a grade 2, grade 3 sprain and your ankle blew up, the very first thing you would do is you wouldn't immediately attend to the ankle, you would worry about inflammation. And so that's where I think we got to start today. And I like when I did it to myself, I didn't realize what was happening. The amount of pain I was in clouded my judgment, but two, I guess I never could have believed that something like that actually happened. So I didn't know what was happening. I had no idea the road of learning how to handle inflammation. And so literally that day, I know Jesse started using oils topically and already started making me, swallow pills that she was making, which I've done for a really long time. But let's talk a little bit about, number one, let's talk a little bit about pain when it comes to essential oils. And then let's talk about inflammation and essential oils. And I think a lot of these people have been reaching out, like I've never even heard of them, or I've heard of them. What do they do? Maybe before we even talk about pain, let's just talk about what are essential oils for the beginners. If people have never even gone near that, if just give them a heads up.
Here, move over a little bit.
Yeah.
If you've never used essential oils, what they are, they're plant-based medicine essentially.
Right.
And there's like 7,500 aromatic plants in the world, and some of these aromatic plants have compounds in their oil, and the oil really protects the plant from bacteria, from fungi, from different pathogens that would kill the plant. And when we distill that plant material and not really extract because you distill the oil from the plant material using high temperature steam, which separates the oil from the plant material and then is collected in a cooling tank with water. But the essential oils are highly, highly concentrated, and what makes them powerful is the compounds that are in the oil. So, for example, like most people have heard of frankincense from the Bible story,
right?
But frankincense is loaded about 70% alpha-pinene. So alpha-pinene is the major primary molecule in an authentic frankincense oil. And there's about 50 other molecules depending on the quality of the frankincense oil. There's about 50 other compounds that are in that oil, but alpha-pinene is the major molecule, and alpha-pinene helps with a couple things. It helps with healthy inflammatory levels. So when you do have an injury or when you do have a sprain, disc, it helps your body not make inflammation out of control. So it keeps it healthy, because there are healthy inflammatory levels and there's unhealthy inflammatory levels. And then from a discomfort pain perspective, there's molecules in like a wintergreen oil. Wintergreen is unique because it only has 2 molecules in it. All these other essential oils have sometimes hundreds, sometimes 50, but wintergreen has 2. It's 99% methyl salicylate, which is a very similar compound that is found in aspirin. And from a discomfort pain relief standpoint, methyl salicylate is very powerful in helping you feel better. Right. So those are just 2 examples. There's so many oils we can use for inflammation and pain, but those are just 2 right out the gates that are powerful in combination with each other. Right.
And what we'll do is we'll give examples of what I did and what you've done and what you teach people. And of course, in the show notes, I'll even go ahead and put recipes on what I did. But one of the things you brought up there, which was really interesting, and one of the things I learned from you is that the medicines that a lot of people are popping, right, for their pain relief, all came from that plant in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. And so really what we're trying to just encourage people to do is understand that at some point somebody came along and in a lab took that plant, boiled it down to its compounds, and then made a pharmaceutical drug that has a lot of side effects and sometimes is necessary. And what we're saying is there's actually a way for you to go ahead and get that same effect without those side effects.
Yes.
And you also brought up this idea of inflammation, which I think is super important before we tell people what to do, is that there is acute inflammation and there's chronic inflammation. And acute inflammation is good. Like you can't heal without it.
Yes.
And everybody's so quick to be like, let's get rid of all inflammation. And yeah, that would make you feel better, but then you would never heal. And I can't tell you the amount of people that I interact with on a direct message every day that are like either re-herniated or having flare-ups. And the thing is they didn't handle the acute inflammation right. They didn't let it do its job. And medicine gets in the way, going too fast on therapies gets in the way. We didn't give it a chance to heal right. But chronic inflammation is the one we have to avoid. And what's really, really crazy is that chronic inflammation is the one that sets in and then begins to really destroy lives. It's the ones that really tears people down and beats them up. And it lingers for a really, really long time. And what's really great is that you don't have to like worry about essential oils. It's just take it. Why? Because it knows how to let acute do its job and not stop it, but handles chronic and stops it in its tracks.
What's so interesting about that concept is so many people are living in chronic inflammation and don't even know it.
Right.
And then this is one of the failures of Western medicine. We love Western medicine for so many reasons, but one of the failures is that they don't address that chronic inflammation, because you'll be living with chronic inflammation for so long, and then at some point you'll have a symptom. Yeah. And sometimes the symptom with what we're talking about is a disc herniation.
Right.
And unless you address the chronic inflammation, you're never going to fully reverse or fully heal the condition.
Absolutely right. And that's probably the most studied thing in medicine right now is inflammation. Yeah. You see centers popping up all over the place, typically pain management places that are drugging people and doing shots and injections. And we don't want to, we're not here to say don't. We're here to say, hey, listen, there could be another way that could save you, and let the body manage itself in the right way. And so my gratitude comes from the fact that we knew about it, that Jesse knew about it, and we had just met you, because I can't even imagine what the liver damage I would have done. And that takes us to the next level of the next question I want to ask is the safety of essential oils, because the truth of the matter is those of us that lived on Advil, lived on, in my case, Norco, hydrocodone, and some other things for a while, just to get through the day because of how bad things were, destroyed our liver. And of course, in another podcast, I'll teach people exactly how to clean that. But the safety of essential oils is that because they've been distilled and processed, they're direct to your body, correct? It's not like your body has to look and go, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing. So when you're using an authentic essential oil, there's a lot of adulterated oils, but when you're using an authentic oil, when you apply it topically or ingest it, a lot of oils can be ingested.
Yeah.
Some aren't, but most of them you can. Within 30 seconds, those compounds, those healing compounds are in our bloodstream. And within 5 minutes, those molecules are systemic, meaning they're in every cell in our body. A lot of them have crossed the blood-brain barrier, interacting with our brain and nervous system. So from a physical, emotional standpoint, they're so fast acting, and they start to address the root cause of our health conditions very, very quickly. Within minutes of using them. Yeah. Whereas 99% of pharmaceutical molecules do not cross the blood-brain barrier. So when you have a nervous system condition or challenge, it's very difficult to heal that from a pharmaceutical standpoint. Right. Where essential oils and plant-based medicine are almost instant.
Right. And I think that the beauty of that, again, is we're coming back to natural, right? And it's natural. And again, I'm going to say this over and over on every podcast I do. There's no stone that you should leave unturned if you're hurting. But one of the things you have to do is understand that conservative, natural has to be a part of it. You have to overwhelm your body with the things that it actually likes and needs, and essential oils are one. So we know they're safe. We know that, let's stop for a second because you used the word adulterated. So here's what's really funny. Over the last 3 weeks getting ready to do this and just understanding stuff, a lot of people have been sending me their essential oils, right? And saying, well, what do you think about these? And I'm not one to really comment on something I don't know about, like a company I don't know about, but I can tell you this. As someone who Jesse and I have done, for another story, but a ton of research on essential oils and learned about the testing processes, the truth of the matter, there's only a handful of companies out there. There's only a handful of oils out there that should ever really be on or in your body. Yes. And so the thing is that I get that everyone wants to get better for $2, right? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is a $10 bottle of frankincense, you probably have a better chance of just splashing some water on your face and doing the sign of the cross because there's nothing healthy about the compounds in a $10 bottle of frankincense. And so adulterated is one thing we have to stay away from. We really need to make sure that what we're using is healthy quality oils for safety. And I know that knowing you now for all these years and watching you interact with essential oils, there's only, you're very crystal clear on that. Very crystal clear on that.
And also one of the things that we always look for as a doctor is the evidence and the testing. Like even the supplements that we take, we don't take a supplement unless the company fully discloses the testing, the third-party testing that's actually like telling you what's in that product.
Right.
And we do the same thing with our essential oils. Unless the company is willing to disclose their testing and have multiple layers of testing, then we're probably not going to use it because they're hiding behind something.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very important point to make. So today I just wanted to do the basics. So we know that the essential oils are compounds which are in the oils, which is part of the plant that we've distilled out. I know I've heard you talk about how they're the immune system of the plant. And of course, imagine that plant needing to defend itself and live against life, and how amazing that would be for us and to get those benefits. The second thing we know is that the right oil is very, very safe to use.
For sure.
And we know now that there's sciences out there. Frankincense has been studied like crazy, like with cancer and pain. It's just amazing that these compounds can be done. We know that the pharmaceutical companies grab onto these things to try to make their drugs. But let's talk about how we use them. Because I know that when I literally came in the house on January 10th, 2015, I'll never forget, I went upstairs, tears in my eyes. The first time I had started crying that day, I went to the office, worked on one leg, tried to suck it up, came home, literally collapsed on the bed. And the very first thing that Jesse did was took an actual mixture of essential oils and helped me rub them on my low back. And then even at that time, all the pain was in my leg at that time and had left my low back, but all over. So topically is one. We've talked about orally, and there's some other applications. So for the people listening that think, how do I use this? What are the couple of ways that people can use essential oils?
So I always like to talk about using them, mechanistically and vitalistically. Vitalistically meaning to build health long term. Mechanistically using them for some sort of challenge that is immediate.
Okay.
So from a mechanistic standpoint, if you have a disc herniation and you're in extreme discomfort with the radiating pain down your leg, essential oils, 3 drops is a therapeutic dose. Okay. So if you're using like the mixture 4 different oils, you'll use 3 drops of all 4.
Okay.
So that's a total of 12. And it's safe to use up to 12 oils at one time.
Okay.
And the effects of the oils last about 4 hours. So when you're using them in a mechanistic model for like pain or discomfort, you're going to reapply those oils every 4 hours until you're feeling much, much better. And then from a vitalistic standpoint, once the pain is gone or once the discomfort's gone, you're feeling better and you want to use them more as maintenance to maintain healthy inflammatory levels, to maintain your immune system, then you're going to just use it once a day is totally safe and totally okay.
Right.
So we use like probably 15 different oils on a daily basis.
Right.
And then when we do have a health challenge come up, like a cold or a virus or flu or whatever it is, we crank it up to 4 times a day.
Right.
Gotcha. 3 drops every 4 hours.
Cool.
And that's how you're going to get the most predictable outcomes, because we want the outcome.
Right.
You want to feel better.
Right.
And to get the outcome, you have to use them properly.
Right.
Where some people put like one little drop on their finger and then like rub it on, and they're like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
No, it works. You just didn't work.
Right. You didn't work it right. And that's what we want to try to answer for the people watching too, is how are they doing this? So you said the therapeutic dose is 3 drops. And so actually what we could do is, will you just grab a bottle of essential oils there, and we'll talk about. So when he talks about 3 drops, well, typically essential oils are going to come in a bottle, and he'll show you what they look like. And it's just a matter of like literally 3 drops of that oil, and you can mix up to 12. So like for me, what was huge at the beginning was like frankincense and lavender and oregano and wintergreen. Like we'll talk a little bit about that before we stop today. But literally taking 3 or 4 drops, right, of anything and in your hand, right?
Yeah. So I'll just do it. So like, this is an oil called green Mandarin. It's a citrus oil. It's from the unripened Mandarin fruit. That's usually red. Yeah. This is green. So 3 drops in your hand, and you can just apply it wherever. And this one smells amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that does. That is amazing. Cool. So that's one way to do it, right? Yeah. And you could, of course, then if you needed to mix a couple, you would do the same thing before you would apply. Talk real quick though, just so we don't get a lot of hate mail later. What about the safety of putting it on your skin?
Yeah, so ideally you want to use a carrier oil.
Okay, we got some right here.
Yeah, so fractionated coconut oil is the best. It's always a liquid. Regular virgin coconut oil gets hard at below 74 degrees.
Right.
But fractionated coconut oil is a liquid. And you just want to do a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
So 3 drops of the essential oil, 3 drops of the coconut oil, and that's going to dilute it so that you don't lose any oil from evaporation off your skin.
Okay.
So like I just put it on my neck. I know it's safe. I'm not sensitive to most oils.
Right.
Some people are a little more sensitive because they are powerful compounds, but if you mix it with a coconut oil first,
right,
then you're going to be totally safe. Okay,
and the term that you use for that is called carrier oil, right?
Yeah.
So we're mixing that couple things, like you said, the evaporation, you're getting the full on like
100%
powerful of the
yeah.
oil. It's going through the pores. You said it's in us in 30 seconds. And so it's really important that we do it right. And of course, then if you're mixing, you're doing 3 of the frankincense or 3 of the lavender or 3 of that, and then you're doing your coconut oil if you're sensitive and need that. The other thing that you taught me, and is
you can just make a roller.
Is I made a roller bottle. Yeah. And so basically what I did was I put all the oils in here, and I think I probably put about 20 or 30 drops of each oil, and then I filled it with the fraction of coconut. And then each day, as I needed every 4 hours, I could just roll this right on my back, and it was awesome. And these are like, you can get these on Amazon. I'm sure actually Jeff probably has resources for us, but that would be one way. The other thing that really helped me that day, if I remember, is laying flat on my stomach, is Jesse taking oregano oil and putting it all over the bottoms of my feet. Mm-hmm. And I know that I want to talk about oregano real fast, but I also want to talk about the bottom of the feet. Because we've talked about the skin and its absorption and helping with pain, but there's something cool about the bottom of the feet.
The bottom of the feet have the largest pores in our body. So the oils absorb very, very quickly and go systemic very fast through the bottom of the feet. Also, it's very safe for children and infants because obviously children and infants, their skin is so like virgin skin.
Exactly.
And the bottom of the feet is a great place. Like we have a 15-month-old. She's had oils on since birth, but 90% of the time we apply them on the bottom of our feet because they're safe regardless.
Right.
But it's the best place to apply them on an infant. But oregano is that's awesome. She used oregano because oregano has a molecule called carvacrol, and carvacrol has been studied extensively for relief of discomfort and pain, and it's an amazing oil for that.
Yeah.
It's very hot.
Yeah.
So if you put it on your skin without a carrier oil, it'll like burn your skin.
That's a no straight on the skin.
Yeah. But when you're using an oil like oregano, either put it in a veggie cap, like a little supplement, and swallow it, or the bottoms of the feet is going to be the best place.
I can tell you that I actually did that every 3 to 4 hours for months.
Yeah.
And it would definitely help. And it's because of that molecule that causes that just overall relief. Even if it's not attacking chemically the pain mechanism, the relief from it was fantastic. And you kind of smell like a pizza all day.
Oh, for sure.
Which is really good. And then we've talked about topically, we've talked about making roller bottles about the feet. One of the other things I started doing right away is making capsules. And I know that people are like, how do you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You go to Whole Foods or whatever natural food store or look online. I bought the 0 capsules, like the double zeros, because we could get more drops in there, and literally open them up. And instead of putting the drops in your hand, the drops go in the capsule, close the capsule, and just take it like you would a supplement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And is there a difference, would you say, between topically and taking it in a capsule orally?
Yeah, internal is going to be faster. It's the fastest way to get the results.
Okay.
Because the oil molecules absorb through your mucous membranes in your mouth and throat and stomach.
Yeah.
So the internal is the fastest.
Okay.
But topical is going to be just fine if you don't want to ingest them.
Right.
But when you're ingesting oils, like you have to make sure there's a supplement label on them.
Can you hold that up?
Yeah. So like so many. You can see the supplement label, supplement facts. If an oil like peppermint or green mandarin or whatever, if you pick one up at a health food store and it doesn't have a food label on it, that means it's 100% adulterated.
Yeah.
And you should never ingest. You shouldn't even use it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you only want to be using authentic oils. Because why do we use them? To get results.
Right.
And you're only going to get results with an authentic oil. So if it's authentic and can be ingested, it has a food label on it.
I love it. That's super important too, because people, they could get away with it topically. Yeah. Right. With an adulterate, you could get away. You would get you get very little to no results, but you could get away with it. It
smells somewhat like the plant.
Right. Yeah. But if you really, 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 truly want to ingest, it has to be has to be pure.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're actually putting something very unsafe in your body, and we want to make sure that people do that if we're going to be recommending that. Awesome. So we've talked about what oils are. We've talked about how we use them. Let's, if we could, as we wrap up, let's talk specifically about which oils we want to use. So we've thrown out frankincense. We've thrown out what else? We've thrown wintergreen, oregano, and we'll put, if you will, and help me with it. We'll put a couple recipes together for folks.
Yeah.
I already have the ones I've used. Jeff's.
We'll give you the recipe we have in our master guide. So we'll do that.
Oh, and we're going to talk about his master guide too. So frankincense for sure, because of the compound.
For sure.
Right. And so wintergreen we talked a little bit about. I definitely talked about oregano. I took that orally and I put on the bottom of my feet and in my roller bottles. I have a couple different types of roller bottles. Any others that you want to point out that are big?
Anything that's calming to the tissues of our body, which most people think lavender right out the gates. Right. But lavender, petite grain, and magnolia are three that are high in these molecules called linalool and linyl acetate. So any oil that is high in those molecules is going to be very good for calming the tissues, which allow for healthy inflammatory levels. Right. And then I always like to add Copaiba. Copaiba is, everybody's heard of CBD oil and cannabinoid oil. Copaiba has a molecule called beta-caryophyllene, which is a cannabinoid, which stimulates Th2 receptors in our body, and those support healthy inflammatory levels, support the relief of discomfort, and then also are very powerful for our immune system to stimulate macrophages to start gobbling up all the bad stuff. Right. So Copaiba is another one. And
stop there for a second, because he brought up something that I didn't even want to talk about today, but we need to now. He talked about the macrophages and the immune system gobbling up the bad stuff. So for those of us with disc herniations, that tissue is not where it needs to be. Some of us, like in my case, it's sequestered and fragmented, and I needed the white blood cells to go and chew it away because it had wrapped itself around the nerve and it was dead. What he's saying is that this oil has the ability to raise the immune system's capability of sending what you were as the macrophages, which is like the part of the immune system that likes to eat away a lot of the dead tissue. It's the Marines that go in and get it. So this is a very important oil when it comes to herniations and really just trimming away the fat. It's almost like, well, let's not make this total comparison, but like people get microdiscectomies, right, to remove those pieces. Like this oil in the immune system can do that over time. Yes. Right. So I really, really, really think it's important that we stopped and have that talk real fast. So cool. Keep going.
Yeah. And the other thing I always like to recommend with Copaiba is a high quality cannabinoid oil. Yeah. Because beta-caryophyllene works since it's from the Copaiba tree, it's a different compound than what we find in like hemp oil, right, or oil from the marijuana plant. And a high quality cannabinoid oil like this is, if we use it in conjunction, there's synergy between the two products. Right. They work on different molecular pathways in our body, so we get exponential results when we use them together. So a cannabinoid oil with Copaiba, and then like let's just say lavender, frankincense, wintergreen, oregano, that combination is going to give you great results.
Yeah, and it did. And actually I put a lot of that in here and did that on a regular basis. And of course my injury was 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and science has learned a lot more. So I just learned a few things from you, which is cool too. And some things that even I need to start doing. So that's really cool. But the last thing I want to talk about, and hopefully this has been beneficial for people, and they're leaving comments. Sorry guys, we're with our tech, we haven't been able to really answer comments or see, but we hope that you're sharing this, right? We forgot to mention at the beginning, because it really is awesome value. And at the end, we'll tell you a couple of things you can go do right away. But here's what I've been telling people. So our patients, we've been getting with any pain, right? Like whether it's disc or knee or whatever, we've been already starting the protocols of the oils for them, and they love it. Sometimes, however, when people are in chronic pain, their stress levels are through the roof, and we can't ignore this. And I did for so long. For years, I realized that people were handling their pain okay, but that because pain rewires the brain, we weren't handling that stress correctly. So I remembered that it was important then that we started handling the stress side and the mindset side with oils while we were handling the pain. So when someone consults you with pain, and you handle the pain side of it, what else are you telling them to do for the mindset side of it?
Emotional is so huge, man. It's so powerful. But every essential oil has a physical component to it that it addresses.
Right.
But it also has an emotional component. Like there's a book right on the desk here. It's Oils and Emotions. And because every oil addresses our emotional side of our life. So the top emotional oils when you're dealing with like incredible stress or you're in chronic pain, the best one is called Melissa. Melissa is one of the most rare oils in the world, but it interacts directly with the neurotransmitters in our brain.
Chemicals in the brain.
Yeah, with the chemicals. So when we use an oil like Melissa, we get a flood of these feel-good molecules.
Right.
And we just feel so much more calm. We feel so much more relaxed and grounded. And Melissa is by far like one of the best. Green Mandarin, this one I just put on, this also has that effect. Because Green Mandarin has molecules in it that are very calming and relaxing to the body.
Yeah.
Whereas like a typical citrus oil is very uplifting and energizing. But Green Mandarin, since it's from the unripened fruit, it doesn't have those energizing molecules. It's all calming molecules.
Right.
So we want to be using oils that are calming to our body. So when we, just a little tip for you is wood oils. Think of where the oils come from. Like if it's from wood, it's probably grounding. Yeah. It's probably because it's from wood.
It's about trees.
Yeah, it's about trees. Yeah. So any wood oil is very relaxing, grounding, calming to our emotions. And then floral oils most of the time are more uplifting essential oils.
Right.
So think of oils from roots and oils from wood.
Right.
And those are going to be the best solution for you emotionally.
I think that this is huge because people would run to the store and get the frankincense because they heard you talk about the compound. But they can barely get through the day emotionally because of the pain. And those listening that have been there, they know, you don't have to explain to them. They know what that feels like. So then adding this portion of it to what they're already doing is like the best of both worlds.
Oh my goodness, man. Just think, like another thing you can just think of is imagine like aroma is the fastest way to trigger memory.
Right.
And think of like one of the most relaxed times you've ever had in your life, whether it was like you were on the beach on vacation, you were walking through the mountains and you were breathing in the aroma of the trees, like the fir trees surrounding you.
Right.
And a really good strategy is to just visualize where you were when you were the most calm in your life, or a very calming moment, and think about the aroma you were smelling. Yeah. And then just mimic that with your essential oil. Choose that oil because that's going to bring you back to that state.
That's brilliant thought. I've never even thought of that. That's great. Because everybody has their place that they can go.
Yeah.
And when you're in pain, people always like to throw things out like relax, go to your happy place. And you're like, but you know, the truth is that we can mimic those things.
For sure.
And it's really funny to me that you say that because how many people, because I mean, I know you're by trade, you're a chiropractor as well. How many people have we dealt with who like called us the day before vacation because they're in massive amount of pain, and we give them an adjustment knowing they're not going to be 100% when they leave, but then they get back and go, I was great while I was gone.
Yes.
And that's because they were in a relaxed state. They literally used the chemicals of their brain to enjoy where they were. And what you're saying is, remember when you were gone? Like, where were you? Where were you gone? And like, let's mimic that now and where you are. And so we've got the physical side of handling the pain and what's happening. We've got the emotional side. And the last one that people always ask me to address is one of the most important things that it comes to healing, and that is sleep.
Yeah.
Because I know that I created a very horrible environment in my home for about 2 weeks because I didn't sleep for about more than maybe 1 hour at a time for darn near 2 weeks when I first hurt myself. And so what you go through is ridiculous, but we also know that there's ways to use oils like diffusing, which is the last thing I want to talk about, to create an environment in your home and that can actually help you rest and even get to sleep.
Yeah, you want to use a diffuser for sure because then you're breathing in the molecules while
we actually have one going right here. Yeah.
They're in every room.
Yeah, every room in the house. Same in our house.
Yeah, but
and office.
You always want to be breathing in the oils because you can create whatever environment that you want to create from diffusing the proper oils. And what a good diffuser does is atomize the molecules so they just float around the air.
Yeah.
A cheap diffuser will just throw them in the air and then they just fall right to the ground. And so you're not really getting that benefit. Right. But a good atomized diffuser, especially for your bedroom, because again, you want to be diffusing calming oils that help really shut down your body.
Right.
And some of the best oils for that, I mean, obviously lavender, people know lavender.
Right.
There's so many more than lavender. Like a root oil like vetiver is so good to help you sleep at night. Vetiver is a long grass grows in the mountains in Haiti.
Right.
And the oil is distilled from the roots.
Right.
So it's very grounding. It smells almost like a sweet dirt. The aroma is amazing. And then we always like to diffuse an oil like peppermint or a blend that has different molecules like eucalyptol or menthol, so that you're breathing in molecules that clear your airways at night. So then you're breathing in more oxygen. You get more healing as you sleep.
Right.
So the combination of the two, like a calming oil and an oil that opens up your airways, is going to be the best combination for the bedroom.
Right. Gotcha. So I think we covered a ton. I don't know how long we've been doing this, but it's got to be like 20, 25 minutes now or something like that. We covered a ton, and I know that we didn't get to any questions. I'll get to those later, one-on-one with people. But I want to give some people some resources before they go, because I know that people have reached out to me primarily lately with herniated discs, but they've got secondary things like rheumatoid arthritis, people with pancreas cancer, people with tumors, people with all kinds of other pain things. And the thing is that no matter what we're talking about, we like that phrase, like there's an oil for that. But really there is. There's a way for you to handle things. Even if you're in the midst of a very medically oriented thing, there's ways for you to incorporate these things into your life now to do that. And then the second thing is, you said there's so many more oils. How many oils would you say there are?
There's 60 single oils, that we use. Yeah. And there's about almost 50 blends.
50 blends and 60 oils. So the truth of the matter is, when someone goes, I tried lavender and it didn't really work, so essential oils don't work. Yeah. No, you didn't jive with the lavender is really what it was, right? It was the wrong kind or a junk kind, or it just doesn't jive with you, and you need to keep trying, because there is healing in this. That being said, I want to ask you for some resources. And on the Pain Sucks podcast, when people are listening to this and then watching this later, one of the things I don't want them to go to do is make the mistake of buying something that's not going to work for them. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, I put this podcast together to help people in pain and become a resource, a place where all in one, we could just start putting things in a place where people could go and learn. But in this case, we need to get people to buy the right stuff. We just have to, because I've actually had patients who bought them on Amazon because the label looked similar to the one I was recommending, and it was junk, and it was just someone in China who had mimicked the label. And there's people that are running to the local store for things, because stores are not idiots. They jump on the bandwagon, but people are like, it's not working. I can remember Jesse having an argument with someone one time and literally talking them into trying the right stuff, and everything changed, right? And it was a few dollars more. So one of the things I'm going to do is put in the comments section here the resource we use, the oils we use. I'm afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. We use doTERRA, right, which is Jeff's been a part of for a long time and got us into it. And the reason is because the science is there, and the reality is that, but anecdotally we know it works. Yeah. And so I'll put that resource in there, because it's just one quick link. People can go, they can buy there, they can look into it, they can reach out to myself or Jesse. But as far as like everything you're talking about, because you're the expert, someone's sitting here going, I love what they said. I wish it was in written form. I know Jeff has a ton of resources. He's got Facebook pages and stuff. And I would suggest that you would begin to learn. Yeah. Because I can't teach everyone everything. You can't teach everything. They need to learn. But you've spent so much time putting together. Tell me about these guides. Tell me about these master classes. Things that you've put together so people know, the no-brainer for people, like the essential oils for dummies.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So our brand is My Oil Lab. Right. So on Facebook, My Oil Lab is our page. On our YouTube channel is My Oil Lab. Our website is myoillab.com. So that's just what it is. And so we have videos on every single oil. We have a master guide, which breaks down 20 of the organs, systems in our body, and gives you the oil protocol that best supports that system based on the science and the research. We have over 100 scientific references in that guide. And then we have a master class which has it all together in one easy to use platform. So there's so many resources, but the first thing to do is really start learning. Like if you're new to the plant-based medicine world, start learning about how to use these and what they do and the benefits, because knowledge is power. And if you dive into it, you're going to find and you're going to get the results that you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And I actually learned a ton today that I didn't know. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure everyone listening hopefully learned a lot. Hey guys, listen, so we're going to end the Pain Sucks podcast with Jeff Styba in just a minute. I just want to wrap it up. Today was about essential oils. Thank you, Jeff. It was powerful. I will go ahead in the comments of the Facebook Live, and then this will be uploaded to YouTube. And I'll put in the show notes all the things we talked about and summarize them, and these resource guides. I'll get some links from Jeff to put in there for you to use it. Here's my thing. I know what pain is like. You know what pain is like.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, most people in the world know what it's like. You can heal. That's my tagline. No one gets to tell you that you can't heal. I love that, because simply it just means you haven't turned over all the rocks.
It's amazing.
Yet.
Yeah. You can heal from anything.
Yeah. And you just got to keep looking. What we're saying is, let's start looking in places you haven't thought of yet. Yeah. Right? And let's start with the natural things that the body works. So hopefully you enjoyed this podcast on essential oils. We want you to share this, please. We know that you know people that just need to even listen and learn a little bit, and then can use resources. And guys, we just look forward to the next one. We're going to go ahead and try to do at least one of these every week on one topic that centers around pain and most of the things I went through. And maybe we'll get Jeff to interact with us again. So Jeff, thank you for having us over here to your podcast studio.
Right on.
All right, guys.